Welcome to Crosstalk Solutions. My name's Chris, and over the weekend on April 1st, CloudFlare announced 1.1.1.1, or what they're calling the fastest privacy-first consumer DNS service. So first things first, no, this was not an April Fool's Day joke. In their blog, which I'll put a link to below, CloudFlare stated that even though it was a Sunday, and it was Easter, and it was Passover weekend, and it was April Fool's Day, there was just no better day to announce the 1.1.1.1 DNS service. So 4 ones, April 1st, 4/1/2018. So what is this exactly? This is a public DNS server used for translating domain names into internet addresses. So computers work with numbers, but humans have a hard time remembering numbers, so names work best. That's why DNS was created in the first place. DNS stands for Domain Name System, and its primary responsibility is to translate human-friendly names such as crosstalksolutions.com into IP addresses that computers have an easier time working with. Now, other services like this already exist. The most common are Google's 8.8.8.8 DNS server and Level 3's 4.2.2.2 DNS server, among a bunch of other ones. Now, any public DNS resolver should be highly available and pretty quick to resolve domain names to IP addresses. So why then do we need 1.1.1.1? Well, CloudFlare is a company that has a lot of DNS experience, so their service is primarily known as a CDN, or Content Delivery Network. Essentially, CloudFlare's main business is to geographically distribute websites and other internet applications, and to provide services such as routing, caching, firewall, load balancing, and DDoS mitigation. These are all things that you used to need hardware for. So 15 to 20 years ago, when I was an IT administrator for a large number of websites, we used to pay $20,000 or $30,000 every couple of years for new load balancers from F5 or NetScaler in order to provide these same services in our data center. Now I can simply turn on CloudFlare for free with my SiteGround hosting account, and I get all of those same services. So needless to say, CloudFlare does have a lot of DNS experience. They've been doing this for years, and over the years, their services have become cheaper and cheaper. They've also started to throw in free services that used to be pay services, such as back in 2014, they enabled encryption for all customers, and then last year, they enabled DDoS mitigation for everyone, DDoS being distributed denial of service, so a way to sort of prevent those types of attacks. So now they've created 1.1.1.1 as a public DNS service and as an alternative to the DNS services provided to you by your local ISP. According to their blog post, which I'll put a link to below, they started this project after they started noticing a lot of censorship happening in the world, such as in 2014 when the Turkish government blocked Twitter after recordings showing a government corruption scandal leaked online. Now, during that time, one of the only ways that users in Turkey could get around their country's firewall was by using Google's 8.8.8.8 DNS service or some other public DNS resolver. Another issue with your ISP's DNS servers is that they can record all of the websites that your IP address visits. And ISPs love making money off of your data, right? So 1.1.1.1 addresses this problem by not only deleting all DNS query records within 24 hours, but they also never write querying IP addresses, such as your own WAN IP address, to disk. So yes, they do log the data. They have to in order to prevent abuse and detect problems and stuff like that, but they never write your info to disk, and they clear out all information after 24 hours. All that being said, using 1.1.1.1 is no substitute for using a third-party VPN service such as private internet access, link down below, but it's a heck of a lot more secure than using your own ISP's DNS resolvers. Another great benefit to using 1.1.1.1 is speed. So according to DNSperf.com's list of public DNS resolvers, we'll pull that up here, 1.1.1.1 is now the #1 fastest average DNS server. So you can see 1.1.1.1 followed by OpenDNS, Quad9, then we've got Google down here, and Level 3's doesn't even make this list of the top 10, at least on the in the world location last 30 days. So of course, given that they just launched this yesterday, there isn't a heck of a lot of traffic or usage on their system, so I'd be curious to see where they stand in about 6 months, but for now, they're super fast. Security is another issue with traditional DNS servers. So DNS The DNS standards were built like 35 years ago, and it wasn't designed with security or privacy in mind. CloudFlare is trying to push into the future with this new DNS service at launch, and they are supporting both DNS over TLS and DNS over HTTPS open standards. Now, neither of these open standards are widely used yet, but we should see more adoption coming, in the years to come. So finally, one more pretty big advantage to using 1.1.1.1. Since that DNS resolver is integrated with Cloudflare's services, there's no DNS time to live expiration for Cloudflare enabled websites. So basically, in most cases, when you make a change to a website's IP address, or even the IP address of one node in a load balanced group of websites or a load balanced group of IP addresses, you have to wait for the DNS time to live to expire and then propagate that change out to all other DNS resolvers around the world. Now, back in the day, we used to say that it takes 24 hours for DNS to fully propagate. Now, it's usually within an hour or faster, but if you are using 1.1.1.1 and you make a change to a Cloudflare hosted website, that change is instant. So we're talking about millions of websites here, and this is going to make a pretty significant difference. If you are using 1.1.1.1 to resolve DNS and you're heading to a website that also uses Cloudflare, any changes they make are instantaneously available to your own DNS. Okay, so how can you try out 1.1.1.1 or their secondary resolver is actually 1.0.0.1? Well, number of ways. So me personally, I run Pi-hole in my network. So let's take a quick look at where I would make that change in Pi-hole. I simply set my upstream DNS servers. I put 2 custom ones in. They don't have the Cloudflare DNS servers as the built-in options yet, but I'm willing to bet that they will probably have those in a future update. So for now, you can just manually enter the IP addresses. Here's custom 1 and custom 2. And then, of course, I set in DHCP. My DHCP server uses my Pi-hole IP addresses for my whole network, for devices on my network. Now, if you are using DHCP on your network, you can also just use 1.1.1.1 and 1.0.0.1 directly as the primary and secondary DNS servers for your dynamic clients. So for instance, in Unify, you go over here to Settings, Networks, and then edit one of your networks. The setting is right down here. So DHCP name server, we can see I've got mine set to my Pi-hole, but you could very easily just change this to 1.1.1.1 and 1.0.0.1 and then save that. So you've got primary, secondary, tertiary, and then fourthiary. I don't know what you call the primary, secondary, tertiary. I don't know what you call the fourth one. If you guys know, put it down in the comments below. Finally, on an individual PC or device, you can set the DNS servers manually. Now, using Windows 10 as an example, you want to open Network and Internet Settings, and then you double-click on Change Adapter Options. I love how they keep burying network changes deeper and deeper in Windows 10, by the way. So the next thing you want to do is right-click on your Ethernet card or Ethernet port that you want to set, and then double-click on IPv4. And then right here we can see use the following DNS server addresses. I can change this to 1.1.1.1 and 1.0.0.1. And then just hit OK and OK, and you're all set as far as a local server. So let's go ahead and try that out. And here we have a command prompt. This again is off of Windows 10. So I'm just going to say nslookup/.org. And there we go. So server 1.1.1.1.cloudflare-dns.com. And of course, it came back with a very, very quick response. There are ways of measuring the speed of DNS resolution. I'm not an expert in how to do that, so I'm not going to be doing that here. But you guys get the idea. I'd be very curious to hear your thoughts about it and whether or not you guys are going to start using 1.1.1.1. And if you have any experiences with that, put that down in the comments below. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this quick overview of Cloudflare's new 1.1.1.1 DNS name resolution service. If you have any questions or comments, as always, leave them in the description below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please click subscribe. My name is Chris with Crosstalk Solutions, and thank you so much for watching.